This is pretty interesting. I wasn't planning on making more videos while I was on vacation slash recovering, but I opened the game up and saw this pop up, this 2024 hero poll for the next 6 days. So I wanted to go through with it with you guys, talk about the characters chosen for it, and really try to decipher what that means for the future of the game. Because I actually have two competing opinions about this, and one of them is good and one of them is bad, obviously, if they're competing. So I wanted to share both of those with you. So yeah. In case you're wondering what this is, you can access it through the inbox notice system, and you actually get 50 crystals for just submitting your top 3. That's how you do it. You submit your top 3 through there. You don't do it through the comment section on this video. You don't do it through the comment section on the forums. You actually do it in game. So you'll want to be doing this in game. I'm just showing you this here because it's easier to see the hero list and to scroll through and talk about things, and also to then go and see some other details some other places where people have talked about their thoughts. So it's actually a pretty interesting hero poll. It's not an all-out hero poll. Not every character is included in this. It's only 15 characters, and the 15 characters are extremely specific, from War Machine to Anti-Man. So yeah, just taking a look at the list, you get Mr. Fantastic, Psylocke, Sentry, Null, Quicksilver, Doctor Doom, Crescent, Hulk, Medusa, Emma Frost, Apocalypse, Agent Venom, Weapon X, and then, like I mentioned, Ant-Man and War Machine. So what immediately jumps out to me when I take a look at this hero list is it's random, right? That's my initial impression, is that it's random because you have everybody here, right? You've got tier 2 characters, I think. Yeah, you have tier 2 characters, you have tier 3 characters, you have transcended characters, you have tier 4 characters, right? Like Hulk is on this list. Which was kind of shocking to me. I at first I scanned through the list and I'm like, okay, these are all like tier 3s. Some of them are native tier 3s, but then I see Hulk as number 9, and I'm completely flabbergasted seeing that because it makes the list so much more intriguing than simply just, okay, guys, tell us who you want tier 4. Because initially that was my impression, right? Hey guys, tell us who you want tier 4, and we'll tier 4 them. But upon further inspection, here's what I think. I think they actually have updates lined up that involve most of these characters. That's my guess. My guess is I'd say 10 to 12 of these characters are already going to be featured in an update in 2024. And then 1 or 2 of them may be shoehorned in at the last minute. Not at the last minute, but sort of like forced into a mid-month update by themselves or whatever, without necessarily being planned ahead for. So you can kind of take that for what it is, both good and both bad. But I don't think that they're sort of starting with a blank slate, because there's too many characters here, and there's too much variety of characters here that it wouldn't really make sense it wouldn't make sense for them. And so that's the other thing that you have to think about. Like there's one big pro and one big con to doing a hero poll like this. Obviously, the big pro is players get to voice their opinions, right? Players get to go into the comments and say who they want. Players get really excited. And this is just on the forums, which is like the lowest of the low. But look at this. These people are writing, chapters and essays because they're really excited, right? People are, happy emojis. Like they want to feel like they have some agency over who gets added to the game. And that's exactly what this kind of thing at least appears to achieve, right? I'm not saying it doesn't achieve it or it does, but it appears to achieve that sort of like, we're going to add who you wanted. That's on the one hand, right? And that's sort of like the pro of this sort of thing. The big con for me is that I don't think this is random. Like I said, I think these are intentional choices. They are intentional choices because it's 15 out of 260, right? But I think that they sort of already they've sort of revealed their hand. I think if you look at the hero list here, you can probably see half of the updates for next year. And I think that's a bit, I don't know what to call it. It's not bad, because we know characters are going to get updated year after year, but it just it takes a bit of the magic away, and it's sort of like showing how the sausage gets made, and I just don't want to see that. I just want to eat the food at the end. It also means to me that they're not confident in their content to an extent. And that's something that you can read into more or less. And I don't mean to I'm not sounding alarm bells about the game's future or whatever. I don't think it's in jeopardy, but I think maybe their creative team is not super confident in the product they've been putting out, update after update. And that's what worries me more, because if you look at the newest update, if you look at, the Cordy update, like this update here, right? It's not very good. It's just not very good. It's not a very good update. And that's what really worries me most is like if they're focusing on these heroes who they probably already have they probably have uniforms laid out for most of them. It means that they're not really worrying about the actual substance of the game mode changes, improvements, that kind of stuff, right? PvP game modes, PvE game modes, new chapters for story mode, new dispatch sectors, all that kind of stuff. Like they're not really thinking about that because this is what they want us to focus on, which is sort of the easy shortcut stuff that they can do in a way. So yeah, that's the sort of cynical side of things that I'm kind of a bit worried about. However, let's just see where it goes, I guess, right? So who's your top 3? Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know who your top 3 choices are. I actually don't know who my top 3 are. I will say that one of my top 3 is Crescent. I think she's consistently been one of the most shafted characters. I think she has a really cool design with the IO bear. I just think that they've done a really poor job of expressing it. And I think they need to stop making it a physical summon that has health and that can take damage. And they need to make it more like an ethereal thing that just does its own attacks, but can't be targeted. Like it needs to be just like a permanent summon sort of thing. That's a much better execution. I think who's not in my top 3 for sure, Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic, just because we know they're going to get something for the movies eventually. So I feel like giving them something now is just going to be a stopgap. They're not going to be as good as they will be when the MCU stuff hits, right? And then for Null and Sentry, like I think they're both really good options. I couldn't really choose one over the other, but that's basically it for me. So it's probably Crescent, Sentry, and Null, or Crescent, Null, and Sentry. Everybody else, I kind of feel like they either already have an X-Men update cooking here with Emma Frost and Apocalypse, or Emma Frost and Psylocke or some shit. And I don't really need to vote for that because they're already going to do it. And then stuff like Medusa, Medusa is kind of one of the red herrings here. I'm like, why is she on this list, right? Her and Agent Venom. I'm like, what is going on here? What the hell are you guys cooking? These two just don't make any sense at all. Ant-Man would be cool. The problem with Ant-Man is he's tier 2, right? So I feel like a vote for him is kind of a waste of time, because if he's going to be featured in an update, he's just going to get his tier 3. And that's just straight up not very interesting at this point. So again, this is the kind of stuff that shows that the devs are not really 100% on their A game here. And I would rather them just focus up and get on their A game than do this sort of like fluffy, toughy, sort of bubblegum stuff. But people like it for different reasons, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, that would be my list: Crescent, Sentry, Null. I'm curious what your lists look like. And how many of you just auto-included Doctor Doom, because I figured that would work pretty well. Over on Reddit, I think the commentary is a little bit more interesting. People basically echoing what I also said, which is that they probably have plans for all of the characters that we voted on. And we've seen this before from Netmarble, where they do these polls and they do these different voting events, and then it turns out they had content ready all along for these characters, and it's not a surprise, right? Like, again, Hulk, like why is Hulk there unless they've already got a plan for him for a new uniform, which makes me think that there's other tier 4s on the horizon who will be getting new uniforms as well, which, hey, for better or for worse, that's probably coming next year. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to really unpack if you want to get into the nitty gritty. Like, why Ant-Man but no other tier 2, right? It's kind of weird. Some of the votes are good. I accidentally voted just one character. Okay, nice. And there's different reasons why, and that's the other thing too with this list is it's very one-dimensional. It's just like, tell us who you want. I almost don't want to vote for Crescent, Null, and Sentry. I almost want to vote for characters that I hate. Like, let me just go ahead and quickly vote for Weapon Hex, Medusa, and War Machine. It's not that I hate these characters. It's just that I don't want them to be wasted on a poll update. I want them to actually get a meaningful upgrade. And I feel like, this is just kind of lip service. They're not asking if we want these characters for PvE, if we want them for PvP. They're not really giving us any sort of multi-dimensional approach. It's just like, hey, tell us who is going to sell the most uniforms so that we can sell the most uniforms. And it's like, okay, you guys probably already have that information, right? You probably already know which of these characters are the most popular. And again, it's a mixture of characters that they're wondering are popular, like this, like War Machine and Crescent, and then characters that they probably already have updates lined up for, like Frost, Psylocke, Apocalypse, Hulk, probably Mr. Fantastic. This kind of stuff. It just doesn't make sense otherwise. So yeah, I got mixed feelings about it, but it's interesting. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Hit me up in the comments down below with your top three, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.